Legal amendments needed to address diesel smuggling. Now, the government has maintained its decision not to declare a disaster emergency in Johor as the weather in the state is seen to be improving. Now, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said waters have also started receding in several areas that are affected by the floods.
Keputusan kerajaan tidak umumkan darurat kerana jangkaan hujan dah mula berkurangan dan di beberapa tempat sedikit surut walaupun ada masalah di tempat yang termenung ni. Jadi itu memang masalah, tapi tidak perlu darurat setakat ini dan keadaan mulai surut mulai hari inilah tengok.
The Prime Minister was met after visiting a relief centre at Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan Cina, Kampung Tengah, Segamat. In the meantime, Datuk Seri Anwar also instructed all the government agencies involved to immediately assess the damage caused by the floods and help those who had lost property and had their access to electricity and water supply cut off. He also praised Johor Menteri Besar Datuk On Hafiz Ghazi and the state government for coordinating efforts through the State Disaster Management Committee in channeling aid and helping flood victims. In another development, the Prime Minister has given his assurance that the flood mitigation projects, especially in Johor, will be expedited and need to commence from June this year. He said the tendering process for the projects needs to be done as soon as possible, considering that the flood issue is a recurring problem.
Isu ini kalau tidak lakukan apa-apa yang serius, dia akan berulang. Banjir ini bukan kali pertama. Dia bertahun-tahun. Menjadi sini kadang setahun 2 kali. Oleh itu, kita putuskan projek yang mahal 600 juta ringgit atau lebih untuk tempatan banjir akan disegerakan. Ya. Nanti kita lulus dan disegerakan.
Datuk Seri Anwar said the postponement of 6 flood mitigation projects before this was to avoid leakages in allocations to assist the people. Earlier, the Prime Minister spent about 30 minutes meeting flood victims at the temporary relief centre at Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan Cina, Kampung Tengah. He was accompanied by Datuk On Hafiz and Johor Police Chief Datuk Kamaruzaman Mamat. Now, a total of 8 halls are being built in school premises that have often been used as flood evacuation centres or PPS, according to Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. He said the funds to construct the buildings, which will act as permanent evacuation centres, will be taken from the National Disaster Management Agency or NADMA current allocation, and the move was to provide victims with more comfortable facilities. The Education Ministry, however, does not have to apply for the allocation. He said the dedicated PPS halls would be equipped with toilets and showers.
Oleh kerana terdapat sekolah-sekolah yang dijadikan sebagai PPS, pusat penempatan sementara. Ya. Kita mesti mempunyai rancangan jangka panjang untuk membina dewan-dewan PPS di sekolah yang dijadikan pusat PPS, dan di luar musim banjir dewan-dewan itu boleh digunakan untuk lain-lain tujuan masyarakat dan sekolah.
He said this to reporters after his working visit to the Kedah Regional Development Authority or Kedah headquarters in Jalan Langgar, Alor today. Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid, who is also the National Disaster Management Committee chairman, said the construction of the permanent PPS halls was to provide a long-term solution for floods. Currently, there were over 1,000 schools that double up as PPS in Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang and Johor. The Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development, or KPWKM, has spent 615,000 ringgit for the supply of food to be sent to states that are currently affected by floods. His Minister, Datuk Sri Nazir Shukri, said the food aid is still in the process of being delivered and it is hoped that it will be sufficient to meet the needs of the victims.
Kita sudah belanja 615,000 untuk makanan, stok makanan itu, dan masih tidak mencukupi sebab kalau setakat hari ini kalau di Johor saja adalah 42,000 lebih mereka yang terjejas, dan Yayasan Kebajikan Negara juga membantu melalui badan korporat yang memberi sumbangan kepada kita, dan akan menambah lagi RM50,000.
She said this to reporters after a visit to Laman Wanita Tasik Gelugor today. The flood situation in several states has worsened, with the number of victims placed in temporary relief centres nationwide rising to over 50,000 people. Now, commenting further, Datuk Sri Nancy said her ministry also added personnel from several other states to flood-affected states, especially Johor, which presently is the worst hit by floods. A total of 180 Malaysian Civil Defence Force or APM personnel from 9 states have been mobilised to Johor since the floods began in February. The states involved are Perak, Terengganu, Selangor, Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur, Malacca, Penang, Kedah, Negeri Sembilan and Pahang. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Sabah, Sarawak Affairs and Special Functions, Datuk Armiza Muhammad Ali, said personnel from each state had been placed in 3 districts, namely Batu Pahat, Segamat and Muar. A total of 130 damaged federal and state roads in flood-hit states have been reported thus far. Works Ministry Secretary General Datuk Wan Ahmad Uzair Wan Sulaiman said of the total, 56 involved federal roads, which will need about 130 million ringgit for repairs to be carried out in stages. He also said that a 42.67-metre Bailey Bridge is being actively installed on route FT2490 at the entrance to Perwira Jaya and Selancar Rompin, and work is expected to be completed by tomorrow evening. The road closure, estimated to be 23 metres long, resulted in about 12,000 residents having difficulty getting to the city after the road was closed to all types of vehicles for the safety of users. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah today expressed his wish to see that Kampung Orang Asli, or KOA, Kuala Boh in Cameron Highlands become a model village for other Orang Asli villages and settlements. Now, His Majesty said the village should be emulated due to its cleanliness and surrounding beauty, not to mention the harmony displayed by the community there. He also wished to remind the people, especially locals, to continue to maintain harmony and friendship and not to be too political.
Hasrat saya kalau boleh, saya nak tengok kampung ini jadi kampung yang dicontohi dari segi kebersihan, kecantikan, keharmonian orang kita di sini, dan kita melengkapkan segala yang boleh kita pihak kerajaan naik harus tunaikan dalam masa terdekat ini.
His Majesty said this after a briefing on the improvement of telecommunication services at KOA Kuala Boh by the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC. Also present was the Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria. Earlier, Al-Sultan Abdullah and Tunku Aziza witnessed the conversion to Islam of 2 Orang Asli women in the village, followed by a presentation of school supplies to Orang Asli children and a van to the residents there. Now, during the visit, Al-Sultan Abdullah and Tunku Aziza also treated the residents of KOA Kuala Boh with the jemput durian prepared by Tunku Aziza. Coming up, Ministry leaving it to Finas, MCMC, to act on Mentega Terbang film. Now, amendments to the relevant act are needed to enable the Road Transport Department, or JPJ, to take action against modified foreign registered vehicles in an effort to deal with the issue of diesel subsidy leakages. Deputy Finance Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan said the matter will be brought to the attention of Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim to ensure more effective enforcement to curb diesel smuggling activities using the modified vehicles.
Sekarang ini tidak boleh diambil tindakan kerana akta tidak meliputi mengenai ubah suai kenderaan asing. Walhal mereka mengubah suai kenderaan mereka dan mereka menyeludup dengan kenderaan yang ubah suai itu. Tetapi kita hanya boleh mengcompound atas sebab penyeludupan diesel itu. Tetapi kita tak boleh nak compound atas sebab ubah suai kenderaan itu. Apabila mereka telah dikompaun kerana kesalahan menyeludup diesel, kenderaan itu akan patah balik ke negara jiran dan kemudian mereka akan mengulangi sekali lagi, berulang-ulang kali.
He said on the 1st of March, the Kedah Customs Department busted an attempt to smuggle 800 litres of diesel using 2 modified pickup trucks. The department also detained 6 foreign registered pickup trucks which have modified tanks laden with 1,780 litres of diesel worth 3,827 ringgit at the Bukit Kayu Hitam ICQS complex on the 29th of January. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fazil today said that the ministry is leaving it to the National Film Development Corporation Malaysia, or FINAS, and Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, to take action over the controversial film Mentega Terbang. He said FINAS was now investigating the film for possible breach of regulations in its production.
Tapi masa yang sama saya difahamkan ada beberapa aspek yang sedang diteliti disiasat oleh pihak FINAS. Ini melibatkan sama ada terdapat lesen untuk sama ada penggambaran, pengeluaran, dan saya serahkan kepada FINAS untuk membuat siasatan dan sekiranya ada tindakan yang perlu diambil, maka saya percaya pihak berkuasa akan ambil tindakan.
Clips of the film have gone viral showing the main character named Aisha openly asking her non-Muslim friend to give her pork to eat, and Aisha's father allowing her to renounce Islam and embrace another religion. Now, these recordings have raised the ire of citizens who wondered how the film could be allowed for public viewing. Now, Fahmi also questioned why the previous administration did not take action when the film first surfaced on social media in 2021. Now, on another matter, Fahmi said in order to speed up the distribution of Peranti Siswa devices, the Communications and Digital Ministry has activated 31 centralised distribution centres nationwide for 3 weeks starting 17th of February. Now, Fahmi said through this centralised distribution, a total of 33,540 devices have been distributed within 3 weeks. The distribution of the remaining 9,000 devices is expected to be completed soon. When asked if the initiative to help school students in B40 families will be continued, he said that his ministry is currently in the process of examining the matter.
Secara keseluruhan, program Peranti Siswa ini menelan belanja RM450 juta dan ia memberi manfaat kepada 359,742 mahasiswa dan pelajar dalam kelompok B40. Sejak permohonan dibuka pada 15 April 2022, KKD telah menerima sebanyak 474,311 permohonan. Setelah saringan kelulusan dilaksana, sebanyak 368,803 penerima peranti siswa telah dikenal pasti.
He said this when presenting Peranti Siswa devices and launching mydigital.kkd at University Technology Mara in Shah Alam today. Earlier in his speech, Fahmi said the government will continue efforts to expand coverage and increase internet speed levels nationwide. He said that currently only about 3% of populated areas in the country still do not have internet access. Now, 2 men were arrested within 4 hours after robbing a taxi driver by the side of a road near Thai San Kong Temple in Pengerang, near Kota Tinggi yesterday. Now, District Police Chief Superintendent Hussein Zamora said the driver, aged 70, was robbed at 4:30 p.m. yesterday as he was taking the 2 men who are in their 30s from Gelang Patah in Iskandar Puteri to Pengerang. He said the victim was held at knife point and forced to hand over 2 Nokia mobile phones, 400 ringgit in cash, and a Casio watch with a total value of 800 ringgit before the robbers escaped. Within 4 hours of the robbery, a team from the Kota Tinggi Police Headquarters Criminal Investigation Division managed to apprehend the robbers in an area near the scene of the crime. In a statement today, he said all the victims' belongings were successfully retrieved. One of the men, who had tattoos of a spider and centipede, was suspected to be a member of Gang 08 Triad. Both men have been remanded for 7 days beginning today to facilitate investigations under Section 395, 397 of the Penal Code and Section 43 of the Societies Act 1966. Now, a 12-year-old boy is feared to have drowned while trying to save his nephew at Pantai Kemayan, Bachuk this morning. Bachuk District Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Ismail Jamaluddin said in the 8 a.m. incident, the victim, Ahmad Fadullah Muhammad, went missing after trying to save his nephew, Muhammad Nabil Irfan Ismail Mokhtar, 11, who slipped from the concrete embankment. According to the victim's mother, Rosnani Muhammad Saleh, the incident occurred when Muhammad Nabil was believed to have slipped and fell into the sea. And upon seeing the situation, Ahmad Fadullah and his sister, Nurul Afika, 19, jumped into the water to save the victim. However, Muhammad Nabil was finally rescued, but Ahmad Fadullah was lost in the big waves. Nurul Afika and Muhammad Nabil are now treated at Hospital University Science Malaysia, Kubang, Korea. Search and rescue efforts are still being carried out with the help of personnel from the Fire and Rescue Department, the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, and the Civil Defence Force. Coming up in our foreign segment, clashes break out in Athens after deadly train crash. Now, the death toll from a massive fire at a fuel depot in the Indonesian capital rose to 19 people today, with 3 people still missing. At least 35 people suffered serious burns as a result of the blaze at the facility owned by Indonesia's national energy company, Pertamina, in Jakarta, according to data at the emergency post set up after the disaster. The large blaze also destroyed homes near the depot, located in a densely populated district in North Jakarta. The cause of the explosion is still under investigation, but Pertamina said it was likely due to a leak in the pipeline that had been detected earlier in the day. The fires at Pertamina facilities are not uncommon. In 2021, a fire broke out at one of the company's refineries in West Java, displacing more than 1,000 people. Estonians began voting to elect a new parliament today in a poll that could bolster far-right nationalists who have campaigned on opposing further arms deliveries to Ukraine. Prime Minister Kaja Kallas's centre-right Reform Party is set to win, according to opinion polls, but will likely have to form a coalition to stay in power. The party is expected to garner 28.7% of votes, according to a February survey by Kantar Imor that put the far-right EKRE in second place with 18.2%. Estonia, a country of 1.3 million people bordering Russia, has a unicameral Parliament with 101 seats, all at stake in Sunday's vote. The Baltic state, a member of the EU and NATO, has led international calls over the past year for more military aid to help Ukraine fight off Russia's invasion. Estonia's military assistance to Ukraine currently amounts to more than 1% of GDP, the biggest contribution of any country relative to the size of its economy. Now, at the same time, the cost of living crisis has spiraled in Estonia, with one of the EU's highest inflation rates, 18.6% in January, over 12 months earlier. Violent clashes broke out between police and protesters outside the Greek parliament in Athens today, as thousands attended a rally following the nation's worst rail disaster that killed 57. Some demonstrators set fire to rubbish bins and threw Molotov cocktails, while police responded firing tear gas and stun grenades, clearing Syntagma Square of the protesters within a few minutes. Police said 12,000 people had gathered by the large esplanade in front of Parliament to demand accountability for Tuesday's head-on collision near the central city of Larissa that has sparked widespread outrage. They had released hundreds of black balloons into the sky in memory of the dead. Train and metro services have also been paralyzed by strike action. Coming up in sport, 2 red cards cost Kedah the match against PDRM. The Terengganu hockey team, or THT, continued to stay top of the Malaysia Hockey League MHL standings after edging Maybank 3-2 at the National Hockey Stadium in Bukit Jalil. Both teams started aggressively as they went in search of an early lead, but it was THT who shot ahead, courtesy of a 23rd minute penalty corner goal by South Korea's Jang Jong-hyun. A stunned Maybank hit back with 2 quick penalty corner goals of their own through Adam Aiman Mamat in the 25th minute and Muhajir Abu Rauf in the 27th minute to go 2-1 up. Undaunted, THT, who are coached by South Korean Seo Jong-ho, kept plugging away and managed to draw level in the 40th minute, also from a penalty corner set piece through Jong-hyun. National forward Muhammad Fitri Sari then sealed victory for THT with a finely taken field goal in the 52nd minute to break Maybank's resolve. With this win, THT now have 31 points to lead the standings, while Maybank stay in 3rd spot with 23 points. Kedah Darul Aman, or KDA FC, suffered a triple blow in their Super League home match against PDRM FC at the Darul Aman Stadium in Alor Star last night. First, they had skipper Manuel Ott sent off by referee Muhammad Azizan Saad Arifin in the 60th minute for pushing the head of PDRM midfielder Fadi Mahmud Awad Saleh. Head coach Muhammad Nafuzi Muhammad Zain immediately made 4 changes, bringing on Muhammad Fazru Daniel Muhammad Nizam, Manuel Hidalgo, Muhammad Hesamuddin Ahmad, and Muhammad Fayyad Muhammad Zulkifli Amin in a bid to mix things up. However, down to 10 men, they suffered another body blow when head coach Muhammad Nafuzi was shown the red card for putting the 4th match official in a headlock by the side of the field when play was stopped in the 70th minute. Now, 4 minutes later, things got even worse when Bruno Suzuki netted the only goal of the match for PDRM FC to hand the Canaries their first defeat of the season after back-to-back wins over Perak and Terengganu. The win, the first for coach Azmi Aziz PDRM's FC outfit, sees them move up to 6th place in the standings with 4 points from 3 matches, while Kedah remain 4th with 6 points. After the match, KDA FC assistant head coach Victor Andruk said his men's over-eagerness to find goals caused their play to be disorganised. Now, he also acknowledged that the 2 red cards issued to the captain and head coach Nafuzi had an impact on the team and hoped that it would be a lesson in facing their next matches.
Maybe one of the reason because we eager want to get the goal. Kita nak cari goal. So actually because kita main home, so kita tak boleh sit and then kita cuba sedaya upaya untuk mencari ruang untuk menjaringkan gol. So saya rasa emosi ni we put one side.
Meanwhile, PDRM FC head coach Azmi Aziz did not consider his team's surprise victory over Kedah at the Darul Aman Stadium last night as a mission impossible. Instead, the 47-year-old manager said his team came to Alustar with thorough preparations, including making careful plans after analysing KDA FC's style of play to hunt for points.
Yes, memang kita tahu daripada first game kita di Sabah dengan intensity yang sangat baik, kemudian dengan Perak intensity yang lebih baik. Nah, hari ini kita ready untuk benda yang lebih baik. Kita percaya benda tu pick up momentum kita, alhamdulillah, pasal kita main 3-4 hari selang. So kita ready untuk tengok benda yang macam inilah dan akhirnya hasilnya hari inilah.
In Kota Baru, Perak FC head coach Datuk Lim Tiong Kim has blamed the condition of the pitch at the Stadium Sultan Muhammad IV after his side were held to a goalless draw with Kelantan United FC yesterday. Now, Tiong Kim made it clear that he was not happy with the bumpy pitch. Kelantan head coach Thomas Trucha, on the other hand, admitted that he expected a better performance from his Chargers as they were in control during the second half. He was hoping players such as Jose Elmer Porteria, Indra Putra Mahayudin, Ernest Batir Khanov and Royiza Dawood would be able to score, but they failed to deliver. Trucha, however, said his players showed improvement since their first 2 matches against Selangor FC and Sabah FC. He said their focus after this is to collect maximum points from their matches. Now, both Perak and Kelantan have yet to win a match in the Super League this season. Perak previously lost 4-1 to Kedah Darul Aman FC and drew goalless against PDRM FC.
Ruang di sini, lempatan rendah.
And that concludes this evening's edition of News at 10. In our top story, flood mitigation projects to be expedited. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Jessica Lee. Stay tuned to Salura Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.